Anyways, I'm back. This is going to be a bit of a channel update. Um, so as you guys know, I do apologize obviously for the lack of content over the last few days. Um, and if you've been watching my content for the last, let's say, 6 months or something, you would know sometimes I'll have to throw up a screen saying "be right back" if I'm live or something, or if I'm recording or something, to say, "Hey, I have to deal with dogs." Unfortunately, we did have to put down our smaller dog on Friday, almost a week ago, and just I was hoping to do content over the weekend, and obviously, my brain just wasn't in the right mindset, shall we say. So, I am slowly going to be building back up content over the next few days. And yes, I do finally have my new glasses. These are them. So, a little bit different than what I had originally. But yeah, so I did end up having to put down one of our dogs. We still do have one, thankfully. And we are sort of looking late, late, sometime potentially getting another dog to have two, because we've always had two dogs. But yeah, so and yeah, so that's sort of what happened over the last few days. Now in terms of content, I am going to be doing some Mario stuff coming up. Even potentially tonight as of recording. Who knows? I'm still waiting to see what my evening's like with friends and whatnot. Who knows? But I do have a plan for the summer. And so, for those who do not know, I worked all of last summer, from basically end of May till basically end of October. And it was great. Hours weren't fantastic, obviously. It's restaurant work, or shift work, shall we say. But it allowed me to afford hardware that otherwise I would not have been able to afford. Like rebuilding my original computer, buying my 3D printer, buying my Switch, plus obviously all my Switch stuff behind me. And about 27 days ago, let me just do some quick math here. 26, sorry, no, 20, yeah, 27 days ago, I sent my boss who I had last summer a note just to say, hey, if you need extra help for this year, I'm around if needed, basically. I hadn't heard a thing until basically Sunday, yesterday. And I will be returning for the upcoming season. It's actually opening a little bit earlier than last year. So last year, it was around the 20th is when I was brought on for the season. But now, with the warmer weather and stuff like that, it's basically like 2 weeks from now. It's like, I think it's like the 13th or 14th of, what, May? I think. Yeah, it's like, yeah, 13th or 14th of May is when I start back up, basically. And you might be wondering, okay, what does that mean about content stuff? So it means that content will be delayed, unfortunately. Meaning that I'll try to stream when I can. it probably won't be right away because I know that I probably won't have any days off right away. But whenever I have time, whatever time I finish dinner, because I know I'll be working a lot of evenings. I know that I'll try to get out streams and stuff as quick as I can. I might even try to stream late at night, like after dinner. Let's say I finish at, let's say, 8:30, have dinner at 9, start streaming by 9:15, get the stream up by like 10:30. So it's going to be a lot of late nights, and that's sort of going to be the pattern for content. So I am going to try to bust my ass, shall we say, to do both. It all really depends on obviously what time I finish work, and also have dinner, right? Like if I finish at, let's say, 9:30, right, or let's say 9, just as an even number. 9 o'clock at night takes me 15 minutes to get home, so I'm back home at 9:30. I finish dinner at, let's say, 10 o'clock, 9:45, 10 o'clock. Do I really want to start streaming at 11 o'clock, midnight, go to bed at like 1:30, 2 a.m., get up for like 8, right? Or something like that. Probably not ideal. That might happen depending on obviously what my schedule is per week. So, yeah. So I just wanted to give that bit of a heads up, because I know last year was not easy with terms of content from my side. I did try to put content up on my off days, but the problem with that was, for me, is always having the back of my brain, having the feeling, I'm like, okay, if something happens, right? Let's say they're way over busy. Let's say they're slammed. They need more help. I would be the first one to be called in, even though it's an off day for me. So that's why I didn't really do a lot of content on my off days. It's just because I'm like, I wanted to be available just in case. I didn't want to be in the middle of a stream and get the call saying, hey, can you come in like 10 minutes? So I am going to try to do some stuff on my off days, streams and recordings and stuff like that. But there will be, for sure, a lot more content coming in the summer. Or even earlier, actually. And you might be wondering, okay, what does that mean on like hardware that you're potentially going to buy? So I am going to be replacing my 3D printer. I am still going to keep the one I have now, but I am going to potentially modify it slightly to make it a little bit easier to work with. I've just been having so many issues with the printer, and Anycubic, who made it, basically has been useless. They're just like, figure it out. It's like, so basically, in my opinion, poor customer service. So I have decided which printer I'm going to go with to replace it. It's actually not much bigger in terms of build volume than what my current one is. So my current one can do 220 by 220 by 250, whereas the new one I'm looking at is 256 cubed. So it's a little bit bigger, not by much, shall we say. And that's about $2,000. But granted, that's including the multi-material system and some rolls of material as well. So it's about like $1,900. So about $2,000. So I'm hoping, in theory, to get that probably by early June to late June of this year. And then once I have that installed and everything like that set up, I might do some time-lapse stuff with it because I can remote into it and stuff like that, which is going to be awesome. And also, I'll be able to not have to worry about other hardware and stuff like that, because this year I'm not buying a lot of hardware. It's mostly stuff for the Switch. So, which I can sort of talk about sort of like what games I have for the Switch and what games I'm looking at. Give me a second to grab my Switch collection. For me, the Switch is one of the least amount of games I have for. Meaning, like, I'm pretty good in terms of all my other systems I have. So, like, I'm pretty good on PS4, at least from the games that I want for the PS4. Same with the 360 stuff. There are a few 360 stuff, or a few 360 games I'm looking at getting, like Alice Madness Returns, a physical copy of it. I do have a digital version, so I'm super happy I have that now. Considering I think it's sometime this year. I think it's like June or July. You won't be able to buy any digital 360 games anymore. So I'm super happy I bought it when I did. Yeah. Xbox One, obviously, I'm pretty good. For PC, I don't need anything for PC at this point. I have way too many games on PC. I have over a terabyte of games on PC, just a heads up. But the Switch, for me, is where I'm lacking, because I didn't buy the Switch day one. Or even year one, let me put it that way. And there was a point where I could have actually bought one. Because I worked doing some landscaping for literally 2 days, and I made enough money literally to buy a Switch that day. I think it was like $500 total, so $250 per day, which is not bad. But unfortunately, things went the other way. Fair enough. Had other budget stuff to deal with. But I knew always in the back of my brain that I was going to get a Switch at some point. Because I don't really have a lot of Nintendo stuff. Like, yeah, I do have my Wii that's sitting beside me. That's the only sort of Nintendo thing I still have. And that thing is old as hell. That thing is almost 2 decades. So it came out in 2006. Yeah, 2006. Or was it 2007? It was like 2006, 2007, something like that. I can fact check it later. Actually, give me a sec. I can do it right now. Just need a flashlight. Just as I thought, 2006. So that thing is old. It still works. But again, I don't have a lot of GameCube stuff for it, or Wii stuff for it either. I am trying to build up a bit of a GameCube collection as well. But for me, my main priority right now is Switch. I did buy a few games last year, which I'm going to talk about, and I probably talked about them before. So let me do it with the ones that I bought the earliest. So this, then it would have been this. Yes. There you go. So I do have them sort of in order. So the first Switch game I bought, which was the same day that I bought my Switch. So keep in mind, I bought my Switch. So I live in Ontario, right? So I was out west last year for some family for some personal family reasons. And luckily enough, work allowed me to take a few days off. Allowed me to take 4 days off, which was great. And I knew, I'm like, okay, if there's a chance for me to pick up a Switch while I'm out there, I'll take it, right? Just because of tax reasons and other things like that. Could I have done it when I got back to where I live? Yes, I could have. It would have been very, very tight, but I could have done it. So the same day, like I said, and I also typically don't like buying special edition consoles and stuff like that. I typically don't go down that route. I know a lot of friends, I have some friends who do. I don't, because there's no real point. It's the same thing. It's just a different paint job, basically. All my consoles are either white or black. My 360 is black. My PS4 is black. My PS3 is black. My Xbox One S is white, and my Switch is the Tears of the Kingdom one. And you might be wondering why. Well, I wanted either the red box or the OLED. Unfortunately, the only OLED that they had when I bought it was the Tears of the Kingdom, and unfortunately, it didn't come with it. But over in Europe and other regions, I believe it did. And I will get onto that point in a moment. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll take Tears that edition, even though I wanted just a standard OLED. They just didn't have it, which is fine. So I did end up picking up Pokemon Violet. I still need to do some stuff in it. I'm having some issues with with a fight, so I have to look up a guide for that to get through it. Very, very fun game. I do recommend it. This is actually the first Pokemon game I played since Sun and Moon on the 3DS. Very fun game. I do buy games as much as possible used. There are a few games in here that I did buy brand new. For the most part, I do buy used games. I don't mind buying used games. It's hardware that I have a bit of an issue with, just because of how people treat their hardware. So Pokemon Violet is a fun game. I still, like I said, need to go through it and finish that one up. And you might be wondering, will I be buying next year's Pokemon? Whatever it's called, like Z to A or whatever it is. Maybe. I need to see what my budget is around that time. Then, the day that I got back from Calgary, because I had some time to basically hang out in the city before catching a train back out to where I live, and I was looking also for a case, so I picked up the case that you see behind me, the it's red and gray one behind me. So I picked that up that same day, as well as Minecraft, because I didn't want to, I always like to have Minecraft on pretty much every console I have, and it's also nice if I'm like traveling and stuff like that, to have a game that I actually know how to play pretty easily, and I don't really have to think. So I do like it. This one was brand new. I would have preferred it if it was used. Unfortunately, it was brand new. They didn't have any used copies. Very, very fun game. Obviously, it's just Minecraft, just on the Switch. You might do some stuff in that later, maybe this week, actually. I'm not sure. I don't really know schedules at this point. Then it would be... I think, let me just look up something here quickly. I need to make sure I'm pulling the right game. Yes, I am pulling the right game. So, this game is stupidly expensive. Like, I'm I'm on Amazon right now because that's where I bought it off of. And I typically don't buy games off of Amazon. I typically go to like Best Buy or GameStop. Sometimes I'll buy digital if they're on sale. But this one, unfortunately, I couldn't get digital. I had to buy it physically because they ended up discontinuing it. This is the only game in my entire collection, not just on Switch, but every other system of games that you can see sort of behind me, that I wish I had bought before the hardware. Because if I had known that this game was going to be limited, meaning printed only for a limited time, let me, yeah, so it was only available. So it was released on September 18th, 2020, and was available until March 31st of 21. So very, very short amount of time, like a few, like what, like 9 months sort of thing. Yeah, like something like that. Very, very short amount of time. And I didn't know that. If I had known that it would have been limited, I would have probably ended up trying to get a hold of it before I bought the hardware. Because if I'd known that, like I said, it was limited, prices would jump. I would have rather done it that way rather than pay what I paid. So right now, if you're looking at buying it from Amazon, you would be looking anywhere between 180, basically $180 plus, basically. Like, if you're looking for brand new, you're looking at about like $300, like $230 to like $300, around $200 to $300 for a brand new copy of the game. I paid, granted, I bought used, right? This one, minus physical hardware, is the most expensive game I bought. This one is over $200 used. That's how much I paid for it. And it is 3D All-Stars. Very, very fun game. I do need to do some more stuff in it, like content-wise and stuff like that. It is a very, very fun collection, shall we say. But stupidly expensive. And you might be wondering, like, is it worth it? If you're a fan of Nintendo, I would say yes. But make sure you can still get a hold of them. They are on Amazon. So I ordered this pretty much end of September. I ordered this very near the end of September last year because I'm like, okay, I knew that the prices were going to go even higher than what they were. And I didn't know how many more listings there would have been for it on Amazon. And I just didn't want to pay any more than what I ended up paying. Like I said, I paid over $200 for it, used. Which is stupid. And you might be wondering, like, is it worth it? Like I said, if you're a fan of Nintendo and Mario and stuff, I would say yes. But if it's just for something to have in your collection, maybe. I knew I was going to play it, so I wanted it because I knew I was going to play it. Because I only ended up playing one out of the three when they first released. Like, I played Galaxy when it first released years ago. for a little bit, and then I ended up moving over to PS3 after it. So for me, I wanted to actually play Sunshine and Mario 64. So there were other ways that I could have gone about getting them. Like, yeah, I could have got the GameCube version of Sunshine because, like I said, I have a Wii that can play GameCube, and I could have bought Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 on the Wii. I could have gone down that way, but for Mario 64, it would have been a bit more of a pain in the butt because I would have had to have bought an N64, right? And figure out how to jerry-rig it to capture it, right? So I thought, okay. And I looked at doing it that way, and it was like way more expensive than just buying the collection, ironically. So I was like, screw it. I don't know how much longer listings will be available. I don't know how much more the price will jump. So I was like, screw it. I'll buy it. And I'm very, very glad I did. It's a very fun, like I said, collection. I do need to do more videos in it. Then the next one I bought, and you might be wondering, like, how am I remembering games and stuff like that? I'm literally looking at my Amazon orders from last year. Was Super Mario Odyssey, which is actually currently loaded in the Switch, actually. To prove it, cartridge is actually in the Switch. This, I was sort of on the fence about buying this originally, but when I saw it was somewhat on sale, and keep in mind, Nintendo stuff very, very, very rarely goes on sale. Like any of their first party stuff, so like Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, like very, 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 very rarely goes on sale, if ever. So I was very, very lucky to get this for under $60. Brand new, by the way, off of Amazon. So, and keep in mind, this is just a standard. Yeah, so right now it's actually on sale as of recording this video for $68. So a little bit more than what I paid. Like I said, I paid just over $50 for it. Very, very fun game. Like I said, I'm hoping to do some more content in this maybe later tonight or tomorrow. Who knows? Yeah, very fun game. Do I recommend it? Yeah, actually I do. This one I do recommend because this one I find would be a little bit more reasonable in terms of price compared to 3D All-Stars, which we took a look at a minute ago. And this one is still being printed, whereas All-Stars is not. So it's a very fun game. A little bit weird in terms of the controls, but very fun. Luckily, there are no motion controls like in Galaxy. So a little bit easier to play. And then the last game I bought, not off of Amazon actually. So I was back in the city in around February, I would say January, early February, to deal with some stuff that I had to do in the city. Met up with some friends who I hadn't seen. One of them I hadn't seen since COVID. The other I actually hadn't met in person. I only met him actually when I was still in college. So met up with him, and I ended up actually picking up a couple games that same day. One was for the PS4, which was Last of Us Part 2. Because I do like to have both. In some cases, I like to have a digital version and a physical version, if possible. Just in case if something happens to my digital version, let's say it gets pulled off of their servers, and it gets removed off of the install, off the hard drive, I do have a backup version. like what happened with my digital version of Last of Us on the PS3. For some reason, it just did not want to install. Took me like a day or so to find a physical copy of that for PS3. And it's actually loaded into PS3 at the moment, actually. It is actually my most owned copy of any game I own. I own a physical copy and a digital of Last of Us for PS3. I own a digital and physical of the remaster for PS4, and a digital and physical of Part 2 for PS4. So I own it like a stupid amount of times. There's only two versions I don't own: a PC version and a PS5 version, because I don't own a PS5. So, and the other game I bought, and you would have seen, I played a fair bit of this a bit ago, actually. Skywalker Saga, very very fun game. Again, this was brand new from GameStop, and yeah, you might be wondering, oh, why did you just buy it on PS4? I wanted to buy it on PS4. But unfortunately, the closest location that had it was downtown. And I was nowhere near downtown that day. I was up, actually, sort of where I used to live, actually. So, and they only had it on, they had it for pretty much every system. But except for PS4 at that location. And I was like, oh, God. So I was like, you know what, forget it. I'll pick it up on Switch. And it was also on sale on Switch. I paid like around $30 for it, so a little bit cheaper. Very fun game. I do own some DLC for that game. I own the character pack 1 and 2. I bought that literally a few days after I bought it. And typically I don't buy DLC right away. I typically wait a bit, but I did at that point because it was on sale. So let me put these back before I forget, and I will talk about sort of some games that I'm looking at getting for the Switch, let's say later this year. So, yeah, I am looking at building some shelves for all my games, but unfortunately I've been just having issues upon issues with the printer. And you can sort of see the gray thing in the background by the PS4 games. That's actually part of a shelving unit that I found online. But unfortunately, I've just been having so many issues with the printer, I just can't get it to work. So once I order my new printer and get that all set up and everything, then that project will be restarted. Each one of those pieces, I think, is around like 20 something hours. So, who knows? Might be a live stream. Who knows? So, yeah, like I was saying, what is possibly up being bought later this year? I'm hoping to get Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I've never actually, ironically, I know this might be sacrilege to Nintendo guys, I've never actually played a Legend of Zelda game. Never. I've somehow completely avoided Zelda. I've never owned a copy of any Zelda games, actually. It's not that I didn't want to, it was just that I just didn't have the opportunity to get a hold of them, shall we say, and play them. But they look great, obviously. Breath of the Wild looks fantastic. Same with Tears of the Kingdom. But I just never ended up getting hold of them. And those two games are expensive. Like, totaled up, you're looking at about almost $170 for two games. That's a little excessive, but like I said, that's Nintendo for you. So, and you might be wondering, when are you going to get a hold of those games? So, let's actually open up a calendar here. Calendar. So I start basically middle of May, roughly. So I'm probably going to get the printer first, right? Because that's going to be the biggest expense this year, which is, like I said, about $2,000. So that will probably be first. And then after that, so probably I would say maybe late June, early July, maybe. We'll see. That's sort of what I'm thinking, like late this year. And you might be, and I know also that there might be some more material for the printer as well. And you might be wondering, like, oh, where are you going to get the material from? In this case, with the printer that I'm looking at, which is the X1 Carbon, I'll have to go through the website themselves, like directly buy it from them directly. I can't get it off of Amazon, unfortunately. That's sort of the downside with Bamboo, is that they just don't sell on Amazon. You have to go directly through them, or there are a few other sites that I know that sell them, like Spool 3D out of Calgary sells them. I know they sell the printers. I'm not sure if they sell their filament. I have to look into that. So there's that. So yeah, and you might be wondering, like, what other hardware are you looking at? Besides the printer this year, nothing. Maybe a bit of a better webcam, maybe, but it is what it is. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, like I said, those are the two games that I'm looking at getting this year. Obviously, I know there's going to be more. Than that. Like if I look here, like obviously I would like to buy Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and stuff like that, but they're quite expensive. They're $79 a piece right now. There's definitely a few other games I'm looking at, like Pokemon Shining Pearl. I'm looking at Dreamlight Valley: A Rift of Time, so that DLC there. Possibly Outer Worlds, Rune Factory, Fae Farm, Borderlands, maybe. Bugsnax, that's going to be an interesting one to play. Slime Rancher Portable. The Demon Slayer one, like I said, Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword, Tears of the Kingdom, maybe Animal Crossing. If I can get some of these games used, I'll definitely jump at the opportunity. Maybe some Persona 5 Royal. Which, speaking of that, I do have it on PS3. So, I do have it on PS3. I definitely do want to get Metroid Prime remastered, Metroid Dread as well. Maybe No Man's Sky. So there's definitely a few games that I definitely do want to play. But I know that this year is just, right now, primarily getting the printer and potentially getting some Zelda stuff. So, anyways, adios.